Okay, here's the breakfast. I tell you, they feed us pretty well here. Don't have any problems of starving, that's for sure. Guys, getting ready for day 2 of the Shepherds Conference. Today, I think Al Mohler is speaking, which I'm really looking forward to, and looking forward to another good day of encouragement. And I think that one of the things I was thinking about yesterday as I was sitting there in the conference is that when you come to this conference, you feel like this, like they're raising you to a new level. I mean, what I mean is you kind of sometimes maybe can get complacent in ministry or sort of maybe lazy in your preparation and your studies and your exposition of the text in your preaching. And then you come to something like this and you realize, whoa, wait a minute. I need to raise the level of what I'm doing, make sure that it is biblical, that what I'm teaching is coming from the text. And also, it's, of course, just an encouragement because you see so many other men here that are in the ministry, that are teaching God's word regularly, and it's just great to have that camaraderie. But for me, I think the biggest encouragement and exhortation is just feeling like these guys, these speakers, like, whoa, man, I need to bring my teaching, my preaching, and all aspects of my ministry, just raise it up a notch, because it's such a huge responsibility, and it can have such a significant impact and influences on eternity and on people's lives. So that's really something that has been impressed upon my heart, at least yesterday, and I think it will be today as well. Second day of the Shepherds Conference. Day number 2.
Not be popular with the world. Jesus said in John 15:20 that his disciples would be hated by the world for his sake. Being faithful to his gospel means we will be ridiculed by unbelievers. Paul said that the unbeliever regards the message of the cross to be foolishness. Being faithful to his word means our preaching will not be well received by audiences who only want their ears tickled. Being faithful no matter the cost means we may well be persecuted, even in a nation like the United States, where culture is growing increasingly hostile to biblical values. And yet, when we view success from God's perspective, like Jeremiah, like Moses, like the heroes of Hebrews 11, we quickly realize that any suffering or sacrifice made for him is nothing compared to the glory that awaits those who are his.
John MacArthur being mobbed.
Yeah, he can barely see us.
You can't even see him. Okay. It's all right. Just finished the first session of today on 2 Timothy chapter 4, talking about the definition of success in ministry and how often that definition may include suffering, but it has to include faithfulness. So, did you get a lot out of it, Chris?
Oh, it was wonderful. It's so encouraging and challenging to listen to scriptures being read and preached on that you've heard all your life, and you realize how much you have to keep going back to them.
Right.
Because we're all after success in ministry, and yet how subtly we find ourselves slipping away from what true success is.
Right.
And just that thought again of Paul, it was in a physical sense, it was a beheading at the end of his life. That was success.
Right.
But no, the success didn't stop there. It went beyond.
And he considered himself successful because he's faithful.
And he didn't waver. And to see the reasons he didn't waver was just encouraging.
So good stuff here.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, every time the church has tried to settle a question righteously and rightly, the only problem often is that they assume they've actually settled the issue.
Okay, we're getting ready to start the last session of today. earlier today I was in Albert Mohler's session. He talked about how to know when to separate from other ministries or churches when they become unbiblical, which was very good and very helpful. Kind of gave it guidelines for that. Talked about the history of Spurgeon and the downgrade controversy, as well as Martin Lloyd-Jones and some of the historical things that happened with these guys that had to separate from church structures or state churches and things like that. So very helpful. And then later this afternoon, I went to a session on missions and some dangerous trends that are happening in missions currently. And so that was very practical for me as a missionary and great help. And this evening is going to be, let's look, Albert Mohler again. So we're looking forward to that and see what he has to say.
This is going to be our theme until we die. Right? All right, I'm in the right place. It is a tremendous joy to be here at Shepherd's Conference 2016. Tremendous joy to be in the company of so many preachers. I find just tremendous encouragement. There's an electricity in coming into a room of preachers. And a part of it's because of how restless you are. Because, rightly understood, there is no more restless creature on earth than a preacher not preaching when someone else is. I understand that. And as a matter of fact, you're not really called if you don't see another preacher open a text and say, I'd like to do that right now. And when you come together in a meeting like this, you recognize that this is a shared electricity that comes to us just by being in each other's presence. And there's something about the gift of preaching and preachers to one another. When we gather together, we're stronger together than we are alone. We need to come together every once in a while just so we can go back and do what we do more faithfully.
Слово важное, необходимое для проповедников сильно. Это впечатляет, что ответственность за то, что вы говорите.
Albert Mohler spoke from Malachi chapter 2. Really good stuff for preachers. What it means to be a messenger of God.
Я впечатлен тем, что Бог вашу церковь благословляет.
And so I'm impressed that God has really blessed your church.
Я так понимаю, что это много зависит от Бога, от Его благодати.
And I understand that a lot of that just depends upon God and His grace.
И от вашего пастора.
And it depends on your pastor.
Yes, I understood that.
И его команда,
And his team.
Я также впечатлен всей
Это
вашей
его
семьей.
команда здесь.
Я также впечатлен всей вашей семьей.
Sorry about that.
And I'm really impressed by his family as well.
Я что заметил, что ваша жена, вот,
And I noticed, how your wife is
она очень гостеприимный человек,
very hospitable
внимательный.
and paying attention to things.
Когда я рассматривал ваши фотографии, все вашей семьи,
And I looked at the picture with all the family.
я просто увидел, сколько все-таки ей пришлось.
And I thought, wow, how much did you have to live through?